Okay. All right. I lied. I said I was going to do 20 things in 20 minutes. My goal is actually to hit like 30 or 40. We'll see what we get done. So if you have questions at the end, ask me questions. I'm going to kind of go kind of quick, and then that way, if you have questions, you want more details, you can speak to me afterwards. Okay, I'm going to start with a little bit of Dvar Torah. That way, the worst case scenario is you use nothing that I said, but you walk away with something that you can use. I use this usually when I start the Seder towards the beginning of the Seder. We have Mani Shtana, 4 questions. Which of them don't we answer? Well, let's think. Matzah, chametz, and matzah. We explain why we eat chametz and matzah, why we only eat matzah. Freedom, slavery, right? Maro, same thing, right? Leaning, right? We lean. We talk about that. Freedom, etc. What about double dipping? Kind of get you away. We don't answer. Why don't we answer double dipping? Well, let's think. Why does the kid know to ask these questions? Well, he's seen the matzah on the table, and he's already seen that you've already leaned on the first cup, and you've already seen the maror, right? But he doesn't see that we've dipped twice. So the only reason why he knows that you can ask this question is because the Ganena told him, right? His teacher told him. So we start off the Seder, and this is why I always start off with this by saying that kind of question we don't answer. The whole point is not what you learned. And I grew up creative. We used to come back like with these massive like Divrei Torah. We didn't read any of them before, and our goal was to read as many as possible. There's 6 of us, and my father's goal was to get to Chatzot by for Afrika. So we were basically playing that the whole time. Instead, the goal is for them to actually ask real questions, not questions that they just learned from school. So that's the kind of question we don't answer. So I start the Seder that way. That way, it kind of opens the door to saying, okay, that's not what we're doing at the Seder. Okay. There was a 5th grade rabbi who was preparing to teach his class Gemara, and he was sitting there with Rashi and Tosfot and all these Farshim and et cetera, et cetera. And this guy sees him and he says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Teaching 5th grade. You're barely going to get through 2 lines of text. They don't know any commentaries, whatever." So he said, the answer is that it's true. They're not going to understand any of the things that I'm preparing, but I have to be excited about it. If I prepare on a 5th grade level, then I'm going to be bored out of my brains trying to teach them how to read 3 Lords. First, I get excited. Then I have to figure out how do I teach it on that level. So before you get to the Seder, get excited about it. I buy a new Agada almost every single year. This is the only year that I haven't yet. I might still, but every year I buy a new Agada. For me, I'm not going to use all the Divrei Torah. In fact, I suggest you don't. But this way, I get excited about the Agada, and that way, it's exciting for everybody else. One thing that I would suggest, these are excellent. These are a couple of examples for kids. I don't give it to them before. A lot of people like giving it to them before. Don't give it to them before. You wait till they're like bored after like Manishana, and then they need something to read. And then you have a number of options. There's Haggadahs that are actually Haggadahs, and there are Haggadahs that like tell the story in the and they have like the story told by their thing. If you want, you can look at these afterwards. So it's excellent. These are Haggadah for kids. These are kids' stories, etc. Figure out your role. Are you in charge? Are you a participant? Are you going to have a say in the matter? Are you going to be able to talk to them? Talk at all? Or are you just the ignored son, etc.? And don't try to be too many things to too many people. In my mind, if you focus on the kids, the adults also enjoy it and will have a good time. But as you'll see, I have things that you can do that will allow you to do some things with the kids and some things with the adults as well. Okay. Also, any questions count. The story is told that Abaye was at his uncle and he was there and he took away the table and he says, "Why did you do that?" And he says, "Okay, we don't have to say Manishtana." But it has nothing to do with Pesach, doesn't matter. The whole point is to ask questions. So you can do the weirdest things and it doesn't make a difference. Okay, with that introduction, I'm going to start with some of these are, to me, are classics and I just don't know what people know or don't know. So I'm hoping that at the end you'll walk away with at least 2 or 3 ideas whenever. Some people like decorating tables. You can pass this around. These are 2 examples of what we did. The middle one is the one that looks nicer, is not the one we did. Don't be afraid to like take all their kids' toys and put it on the table and let them go crazy with that. It doesn't have to look professional, etc. The other thing I'm going to try this year. There you go. We did that all year with our kids. I'm going to put there poster board. I printed out. I'm printing out. By the way, some of these things I have a link that I'm going to send afterwards for those who want. For some of these things you can print out. Finish through the end, the 15 stages, or it's actually 14 because they did Otzi Matzah together. But it's for coloring, which is fantastic for Erev Pesach or the day before that when they have they're going crazy. They can't help. So you give it to them to color, and then we're going to make a big poster board with the things. And you see like "You Are Here." So that's what we're going to have, like a big "You Are Here" thing. You clip it with a paper clip, move it along, and that way they'll know where it is, but they get excited. Okay, we're up to the first cup. Who's going to do it? And they're going to move it along. So they follow along the same thing.
That's a great idea.
Also, another thing that they can do is make place cards on our Pesach. It's great. It can be with their own kind of pictures. It can be with whatever you want. This is tricky on Shabbat, so only if your guests come earlier. Make your own haroset bar, where you put all the different things that you could possibly put into a haroset. Everyone gets their bowl with the name, without a name. They make it. It's actually great if you have people who have allergies, so then they don't have to worry about allergies. They put in what they want, where they want. So you give them the whole thing. You could put little things of different countries, different versions of charoset, so you can even give them ideas, or you can let them go wild. Okay. Another thing I'm going to try this year is I'm going to have my kids write, take red marker and like make strips of red paper and then they're gonna stick it on our doorpost. That's not for everybody, but it's what we did in the time. So hey, okay. Afikomen. I don't know how it is in your house. Some people, the parents have to find it. Some people, the kids have to hide it. You can hide it, whatever it is. This year I'm going to try something new, which is I'm going to have in advance an envelope with each of the kids' names with matzah in it beforehand. I'm going to hide it on Erev Pesach. And then throughout the Seder, they're going to get clues. And they might have to like ask a certain amount of questions or sit quietly, nicely for 15 minutes at the table, whatever it is, they're going to get a clue. It'll sort of be a treasure hunt. And at the end, they get their piece so that they don't have to fight about it. And everyone is happy about that. Okay, by the way, none of these ideas are mine. Okay, a few of them are. It's just from years of finding things, whatever. You can also do whoever finds it first. You get to decide which tzedakah. You can, during the Seder, you can take like a little piece of paper and keep putting it in. They won't know what it's for. And at the end, you say like the whole point is that we went from slavery to freedom, so we want to give tzedakah to some organization. They get to choose where it is. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Some people like moving where they start the Seder. They start the Seder, and after we get to Manishtan, then they're like, okay, everybody, let's go to the couch because it's more comfortable, or on the floor, or whatever it is. Don't be afraid to do that. We've done that very successfully. I'm not sure this year if it's going to fit with the other things I'm doing, but we'll see. Okay, I needed a volunteer. Yes, Kila, you're excellent. Perfect. Okay, obviously. Here we go. Second, I need to get ready. Obviously, you need costumes. It's important to have costumes. If you don't have costumes, you can borrow some. I know you can't. But anyhow, so I get usually dressed up as Paro. The first few years, my wife actually made this instead of me wearing one that I bought, which I like better than what she made. And then I give them this. And I actually updated it for Magnetos, but I give them the sheet. Okay, it's a whole bunch of sheets which have different things. Velvet. You put that. Now this is great when the kids get bored, whatever. My kid gets to the side, he starts building something. Yes. This should take about 10 seconds. If it doesn't, then there's a problem. And then when they finish, my son goes, "Hey, we're finished. What is this?" And I usually start with like screaming at you because I see them, and then I go, "Whoa!" Okay, build the next one. And then they have to build the next one. I updated it when we got magnetiles. So the same thing with magnetiles, it gets harder as it goes along. So you can use that as well. Okay, I guess I'm gonna do the rest like this. Okay. Okay, bingo. My wife made this one. I'll pass this around. My wife made this one. They're all equal. It depends on the age of your kids. Sometimes that's not good. Sometimes that's good. If they're like younger, you don't want them to fight over who got it first. But if they're older, then you can give them random ones. So there's a link actually in the folder that I gave you guys. They're all the same. You can just look. They're all the same but slightly different. And we do is chocolate chips. And they put chocolate chips on a row. And if they get a row, then they get to eat the chocolate chips. Okay. So they're always looking at what the next thing is. They follow along. Okay. It's gonna get messy. Okay. Here's something that also works for older kids and older guests. I'm gonna be doing this. Yes. I give out cards to everybody. You don't have to do it laminated. It's just whatever. It says question, story, comment. And basically every single person gets one of those 3 cards, gets a set of 3. And then they have to use it at some point during the Seder. It just opens the door for people who are not always used to talking, but they have like a framework now. Okay, I have to ask a question at some point, a story, and a comment. So that's just a way to get them to do things. A backpack. I don't know if I'm going to do it for them or they're going to do it. I might just tell them everyone has to have a backpack with 3 things that they would take if they were going out of Mitzrayim. They pack their bags. Okay, at some point during the Seder, all right, everybody grab your bag, let's go. And we start running around the island or whatever it is in your house, around the table. And then you stop and say, what do you have in your bag? So now they start, the whole point is to try to get them into the feeling of what it is. So they're going to take out their bags and you say, well, why did you bring these 3 things? And you're going to die. You didn't bring water or whatever it is. And you have a discussion about what you would actually bring, what you can bring. What were the Jews bringing? Were they able to bring some of those things? They may not have had that option. I'm sure one of my kids is going to try to stick their phone in, but they don't have one, so it's okay. But if you were going out of time today, you would probably use that. So that's one thing that you can do. You can also put things in before in advance and just don't tell them what's in there. And then like, okay, guys, we're going through the scene. They give them goggles and other things like that, boots, whatever it is. This year, I'm going to try something new. My wife doesn't know about this. She's not on, so it's okay. Because this is not her thing, and she will totally not go for it, especially because we have guests, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to fill up right before Pesach water in the bathtub, just a tiny little bit. And then when it comes to after we have the backpacks and we're already going out, we're all going to go take off our shoes, socks, and go into the bathroom for a second. Just walk through it, sort of, as if we're going through the water, and then come out and dry it, and we can have a discussion about going through. It's a little bit wild and crazy. I'm wondering whether my guests are going to do it. I don't know them. I've never met them. Oh, it was your friends. Okay, you're not allowed saying anything. I'll tell you something we did, but I'm not going to go that crazy. I don't want my wife to see it before. So anyhow, I'm putting it in before just that it's not freezing cold when we go, although whatever. Anyhow, so that's part of the plan. Okay, I like doing things that are under the plate. That's why I said it depends on if you move to the couch or not. Under people's plates, you can put things in advance. So you can put all kinds of some of the things that you can do. I have one year got like these little matzah pictures or whatever it is. You put all kinds of things. Like, for example, here is like plagues, and then you can have people in the middle say, oh, look what's under your plate, and they can take it out, and they have to act it out, and you have to guess 20 questions, charades, whatever it is, or they can be a certain character, Miriam, a frog, whatever it is. So that's another thing that you can put under the plate. You can also put this, which I sometimes use. I'll pass them around, but basically it's different people and they have to tell the story in that person's perspective. So they might have to tell a story from an 80-year-old Holocaust survivor. They might from a convert, the Russian, the Inner-Show, a 4-year-old, an Anju. So they can ask the question in that form. You can also put opposing things in different people's things. So you can take two different sides of an argument and put it under one and put it under another one. And then you tell them, take it out, and they have to argue it out. So your position is Moshe, right? He's at the burning bush. He keeps saying he doesn't want to be the leader. He doesn't want to be the leader. It's getting hot. So how did Paro do that? So he was he a good leader or a weak leader? The fact that he didn't want to go, does that make him a weak leader or a strong leader because he thought someone else could be better for them? I don't know, whatever it is. You can make that the argument. Did Paro really have free will? It didn't have free will. You can ask all kinds of questions like that. We have matzah. Is matzah lechem oni or is it fitting? Right? On the one hand, we sometimes I gotta refer to it as something that's representing slavery or it's representing freedom. So you can put that two opinions under different people's things, and then they have to argue it out. In general, just a side thing, if you're doing a discussion with somebody, so you can like go around with the yes or no question. So for example, if you were there and you were at the sea, would you be like an Achshon? Would you be one of the people who would jump in? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yeah,
and if people just hesitate, just skip them. It's just a quick question. Yes or no? You would jump in? No? No? Okay, so you said yes. So why did you say yes? Don't explain it to me. You said no. Then you get people to kind of have a discussion and it becomes a whole discussion instead of just, but you ask like an open-ended question that starts with a yes or no. Okay. Fun song. So this is a fun thing that a lot of people have started to do already. Somewhere in here, there's all kinds of different songs. You go online, there's a million. There's a Dr. Seuss Agata if you want. I can't find the whole thing online for free, but you can find the four questions. It's like on other nights we made all kinds of wonderful good bready treats like big purple pizza. It tastes like a pickle, crumbly crackers and pink pumpernickel, sassafras sandwich and tiger and rye, etc. etc. You can get it. It's Dr. Seuss. You can pass it around. There's a million songs online. This one is into the sea. Paro jumps in. We won't have to swim. Just walk around the beach. Anyhow, you have a whole bunch of songs. Somebody sent me a whole list of them. There's 42 songs. You can look at this. There's literally like a ton of songs. So you can go online and find a million of them. Choose ones that you like. My kids are already practicing Manishtana to supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Most of the things, except for this, I have to ask permission. But most of the things, some of the things that I have here are in a folder that I'm going to share afterwards. Okay. You can play the artist falling off the chair. That's always fun. Oh no, that happens naturally. So you have to play it naturally before, and then okay. You can ask them just questions that you can ask when you're in the middle of the four sons. The question to ask is, which son do you see you as? Like, which one do you relate to? Which can open up a whole bunch of interesting questions. It might be scary for you as a parent to hear your child say what they think they are in one of the children, but I know my kids are just going to say Russia. But no, I'm kidding. Okay, I was at a Seder once. The best thing that they did was they didn't give candy or anything for people who answered good answers, but good questions. So if you had a good question, you got it. That encouraged people to ask good questions and not just try to read the answers that they had in front of their agada. And if somebody does wants to say a Dvar Torah, make sure that they ask the question. Don't give them the answer yet. Just tell them to ask the question before, and let other people see what they answer before. This actually, it's also in the folder. Guys, kwakwas. So this is actually fun. If they want to do in the middle of the Seder. I'll send it to you afterwards. I didn't do it yet because sneak previews, right? So there's a kwakwa.
Hey, how's it going?
All this.
Great. I got gifts in the background.
And then there's different things. You just cross.
No, not at all. Are you feeling okay?
You just cross the Red Sea. You're free. What's your
I am
happy dance?
sorry.
The kids can play with themselves. Depends on what you want. There's one for older kids, one for younger kids. So it's in there both. Okay, what time? Okay, let's try a short Torah just because I want to give you some Torah so that if you take no ideas, you actually have a Torah. Somebody suggested that the 4 sons are actually 4 generations. The first generation is like the old European, Chacham, he's the tzaddik in the settle in Europe, and then he comes to Israel, comes to America. His kids rebel and they reject everything that he did, and they say, that's for the old country. It doesn't fit here in the new country, and they totally rebel. The kid who's their kid is a ton, because they, on the one hand, didn't grow up with anything at home, but every once in a while they go to the grandfather's house a little bit, so they know a little bit fast. And then the third generation already has 2 generations of seeing nothing, and you say no idea. Okay, I don't know where you could put that in your account. Okay, you can create action words where you pair up an adult and a child, where anytime that there's a specific word, they have to do an action. So every time it says mitzvah, you clap, or you touch your nose, whatever. And either you play that people have to figure it out, or you just do it the whole time, and then they're engaged because they're looking for the next time that it says mitzvah. If you really want to get them, drive them crazy, choose the name Moshe. As you know, it doesn't really appear in the Maggada. So you can choose that and really drive your kids crazy. Okay, grab bag that the kids can do this in Erev Pesach. They put a whole bunch of things in, and then you can do a number of things. You can pass it around every once in a while in the middle of the Haggadah. Somebody pulls it out and says, "Oh, this brick," and then they have to say something that connects it to the Haggadah. This watch, whatever, or they have to either connect it to something with Pesach or a specific thing. This is how they used it in the escaping of going out of Mitzrayim. You can use it that way. Or you can select one prop and then say, okay, everyone has to tell us how they would have used this. So everyone's using the same prop. Okay, somebody once had an edition of Haggadah, the national anthem and a tikva, and they use it to then go into singing any national anthem that they know. I don't know. Okay, there you go. There's a lot of stories out there of Pesach Starim around the world. I have a few, Maranos, Ethiopians, whatever it is. It's a good thing to put in. You can put in, here's some just questions that I like asking. What is freedom to you? I once was at a Seder with my grandmother. She divorced, remarried to somebody who was a liberator in World War II and the Holocaust. So we had younger kids, older kids, and it was such a fascinating conversation about what freedom was to them, what slavery was to them. You can also put a lot of quotes out on the table. This can be either short Divrei Torah, this can be a story, or just quotes. I happen to have printed out, I put it in the list there, like 16 pages of different quotes. I'm not going to use all of them, of freedom, or it's the chains we choose that set us free, or whatever. Some of them are from singers, some of them are from rabbis, political people, whatever it is. And you can use it. You're not obligated to complete the work, et cetera, et cetera. No one is free, even the birds are chained to the sky. I don't know what that means. It's Bob Dylan. Anyhow, but you cut it out and you can put it out in the middle of this table. You can flip them over and then have any time they have something to do, they pick it up and they can use that and decide either to share it, not share it, question, not ask the question, whatever they want, but it gives them something else to do. How are we doing? I started at 12:24. Okay, I think we're gonna do this. Okay.
Seder ideas in 20 minutes.
I like doing this. Ask your local Orthodox rabbi. If I'm your Orthodox rabbi, then I'll answer you. Karpas is big machloket, whether it's supposed to be more than a kazayit or less than a kazayit. When I was growing up, my father was very makbid about less than a kazayit. It's a terrible idea if you have kids or adults or anybody, really, because then you're starving the rest of the time and you're dead by the time you get to the Seder. So first of all, you're allowed to drink water according to almost every single opinion. There's even opinions that say you can drink anything but wine, but we don't have to get into that. But certainly water, but there's no reason why it can't be more than a kazayit. Now this part is definitely not karpas, but we do it anyhow. We put out Terra chips, like whole things of chips, and they just mash the whole time. If you go back to when the symposium was, which some people say it was modeled after, that's exactly what they did. They had dipping, all kinds of different things. And this way the kids actually stay awake. I eat them too, it's good for me. But this way everyone's not starving by the time they get there. Some people do French fries with ketchup, but we do karpas, the regular classic karpas. And then we just pour out like a whole bunch of chips in bowls. And then while we're eating, people are munching. Why not? Great. It actually solves the halachic problem of these. You don't have to get into that. If you want to back up for this idea of eating not the Torah chips, but more than a kazayit, the Rambam, I think that's good enough for you, or Soloveitchik, good enough for you. Okay, good. Okay. There's a lot of bibliodrama. People do like, get the kids to act. One thing that I really liked, and a version of it, is the following. You take one thing, let's say slaves in Egypt, let's say us, the Jews coming out of Egypt, and then everybody is that character, but then you ask a different question to each person. So I'll just example. What was your job? Are you excited to leave Egypt? Why or not? Why or why not? What are you going to miss most about Egypt? This gives you, you get 10 questions, but that are related to one specific character that really gets everybody into thinking, what would it be to be there? That's part of the idea, right? To see yourself as coming out. ask them questions. You take, everybody has the same character, not your kids doing a play, which you have to like suffer through because it's terrible, but like, it's cute for them. But like, this is gets everyone really thinking, like get them in the scene of thinking of what they're doing. Okay, plagues, there's a million plague sets out there. I happen to love ping pong balls for the barad. It gets all over and people love throwing it at each other. So we use ping pong balls for that. And I also, some years, again, ask your local Orthodox rabbi, I put a little tiny bit of red food coloring in a cup, and then I pour the water, and then suddenly it's red. And then that's one of the plagues. Here's another thing that I got. I'm going to pass this around, and it'll be in the thing. Pictures with questions that are then asked as a result. I got it once from Spain, I don't remember, but it's really interesting, I thought, and eventually I'll find it and I'll be able to pass it around. But it basically had a bunch of different like pictures of a woman making matzah in Uzbekistan. And then there's like guided questions. You don't even have to use the questions, some text. Here, a picture of what this would look like for children. Or here, where they're learning in Yemenite cave. Here, you'll see. It's a great thing. You can print it out, see if you want to use it or not. If you want to go really off, and this again, ask a local Orthodox rabbi. In the Haggadah, one of the parts that's the longest is the part where they're like, where they explain every pasuk, and it's like all the midrashim about that. You can also just give them the psukim and then see what people do with it. Without all that, ask a local Orthodox rabbi if you feel comfortable skipping things. I just print out this nice little picture. This is the story. Where does the story come from? The Bikurim. So this is the story of the Bikurim as it appears. That's it. You give them the text. Forget all the midrashim. Where's the midrash? Let's discuss. What do you know about this pasuk? How do you understand this pasuk? How do we understand the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim actually being there? Okay, last, I'm working on this. This is a work in progress. If anyone wants to one day help me, maybe next year I'm going to make this into a book. But I'm in the middle of a choose your own adventure. You guys know choose your own adventures. So I'm working on a choose your own adventure. I got it. We'll see if it gets far. The year is 2448. No, not the future. 2448 from the creation of the world. The place, Egypt. And then it goes on to find out more about the story, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm working on that. You can glance at this. And then there's activities to do in each one. That's something that I'm working on. Again, everyone does this differently in their house. Chad Gadya in our house, or Chad Miyodea, give each person one number. So then it's like four, I don't know if you do it in English, I like it better in English, but 4 are the mamas, 3 are the papas, 2 are the, so you give year 4, year 3, year 2, and then it goes around the table, and each person, except for one, when everyone sings together. Same thing for Chad Gadya, you do sounds. My father used to do all the sounds. Now in my Yagada, like, they give each person a sound. You're the cat, you're the dog, you're the stick, you're the whatever. It gets a little wild, but by then, hopefully they're asleep. No, they're hopefully awake. I'll end off with 2 last things. I'm keeping pretty good. One last thing, one idea last thing that I saw was, I don't know what you sing for Dayenu. Most of you sing Dayenu, right? So in our house, we also do like 4 stanzas, and then you do that part. And then every 4 times we do like Dayenu. So the whole idea is that it's building up. So build up. Start everybody like, and then you get Dayenu, like, and it gets a little bit excited, but then like it builds up the whole time. So they get the feeling of what the whole idea of Dayenu is. I like that idea. I'm going to try that this year. I'll end with one last short Torah. On Purim, everyone likes wishing everybody a Freilich in Purim, like a happy Purim. And then on Pesach, we say Chag Kasher V'Sameach. But it really should be the reverse. Because on Purim, you don't have to tell people to be happy. They are drunk and they know how to be happy without your help. You do have to remind them to do things in a kosher way. But on Pesach, everyone spends months and years and, okay, fine, days or weeks, whatever it is, cleaning their house and looking for every last thing and making sure that your things are extra kosher and this and that. You don't have to remind them about kosher. You sometimes have to remind people that it's also a Chag. You're supposed to be Sameach. So you can say Chag Kasher V'Sameach, but emphasis on the last syllable. So you're supposed to say, emphasize the Chag Kasher V'Sameach. Remind people that don't get all crazy about cleaning. If you have questions, I have a 5-hour way of cleaning for Pesach. Be machmir on getting ready for the Seder, because that's what your real goal of the night is, and focus on that so that you actually have a relaxed, calm, sameach Pesach Seder. Hopefully, you took at least 1 to 3 ideas from here. Don't try to do all of them. I had my first Seder that I hosted was my worst Seder because I had like an idea of exactly what it was going to be, and exactly it wasn't. And my kids started screaming in the middle, and this wasn't exactly what I wanted, and the discussion didn't work the way I wanted. Who cares? Just let it go. Like, don't try to be, let it go, right? So don't try to be like so stuck in what you do. Have a lot of options, which is what I had. And I'm going to just have to use what I need as it comes, see where my kids are, see if I can have adult conversations, see if I can have kid conversations, et cetera, et cetera. Hope you enjoyed that. And we're pretty close to 20. Where's the stop? Where's my stopping? There we go.